Hey guys, Carl97 again. This time with a review of a 1/44 scale high-grade Cosmic Era Force Impulse Gundam from the Gundam Seed Destiny series. For colors, we have the traditional Gundam colors, with the white being slightly darker and more off-white than usual Gundam white. We have the blue, the red, and with a few interesting highlights with the lavender on the tips of the shoulders, here on his chest, and also on the tips of the front skirts, and all nicely molded in color. Now we of course also have some gray for the joints and black for the backpack. And then last but definitely not least for the colors, for the eyes we get very nice clear green, as with all of the All Gundam Project model kits. But we do get the choice here. You can either use this and paint the black of the eyes black, or we also get the usual eye stickers. And the really cool thing is we also get silver stickers to put behind the eyes, so that if you choose to, just have the clear green on there without the sticker, they do reflect a little bit. Or of course you can go ahead and install an LED in there yourself and go completely crazy with it. Then for other stickers, as you can already tell, we do get a pretty big sticker sheet, but almost all of these stickers here, all the red ones, are for the wings of the Force silhouette, and that is something that was completely to be expected. Then for other stickers, we also have the front camera, the back camera, and then the two triangles on the knees. We also get one sticker here for a V on the chest. Now I was personally expecting that the V there would have been the same piece as the yellow pieces, like the surroundings of the vents, but instead they are the same piece as the fronts of the vents. I guess they couldn't do those in yellow. Then the final piece, the final stickers that we're getting are for the beam rifle, one white one right in there for the scope, and then a red one for detailing on the side. The only piece of the Impulse Gundam that isn't as color accurate is the back, namely the part where the little core fighter goes. And fortunately it is mainly covered up by the Force silhouette, so it's really no big deal at all. And overall, it is pretty much spot on, with the exception of the backpack. Moving on with articulation, the head goes nicely up, down, double ball jointed forwards and backwards, rotates around all the way, arms rotate around, go up very nicely on a hinge. Of course, the transformation is going to be part of that. And then we also have a ball joint, which also has it moving up a little bit, and forwards and backwards. Arms rotate around, go up nicely like that, bend at the elbow at two joints, and then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. The waist goes very nicely forwards on one ball joint, and then a hinge backwards nicely as well, rotates around all the way. Then the backpack is also very nicely articulated. Wings go up like that, down about that far, and then these extra thrusters here are on ball joints, go up, down, side to side, and will also wiggle around a bit. The only thing I have to say about these is that they are just regular plastic rubbing against regular plastic. It's not even the soft plastic that's now used for the joints, so be careful with those thrusters right there. Then front skirts, as always, mold together but can be separated. Legs go forwards nicely, backwards a bit until they hit the back skirt, rotate around about that far, go out all the way like that. Then we also have, there we go, then we also have the usual jiggle joint for some more actiony poses. Knees are double jointed, but you do have to be a bit precise with them in how you bend them. First you gotta bend the upper joint and then the lower joint to get the full bend out of it. The reason is that, well, the knee joint is a little bit tricky because, of course, the transformation. We'll go there for a second. Then the feet go forwards nicely, backwards nicely, hinge at the top, ball joint at the bottom. The toes also move a little bit. Once again, articulation, transformation, I mean, go side to side, and we'll also rotate around about that far. The ankle guards, of course, go up and down a bit, and then finally the thrusters on the legs here also go up and down pretty damn nicely. So overall, the articulation of this thing is absolutely phenomenal and completely on par with all of the other All Gundam Project model kits. And then once you put him on an action base, with the help of the hole in his butt, this thing will look like a complete badass. Of course, what's also going to help with that are the accessories, starting off with the typical beam rifle. We have a movable scope, moves both ways, a handle, which also goes both ways, fits into the hands absolutely perfectly. Unfortunately, we do not get a separate trigger finger hand for this, and the trigger will not go into the hand itself. So for some people, this might be a slightly awkward look. And if because of that you don't want to use the beam rifle, there's a peg here, a hole over there, and this thing is stored. There we go. Then flip them around again. Of course, we also get the usual shield. Very nicely done on this model kit. Very much unlike the old high grade. I mean, just the shield is an enormous improvement. And as usual, you can hook it up on either the side or the back, and this thing looks fantastic. Now, the shield doesn't transform, but we do get a separate slab here, and what you have to do, remove everything, and then put it right on this thing. So unfortunately, you don't get two shields, but you know. Then finally, we of course get to the beam sabers, which are already stored on the machine, fit into the hands absolutely perfectly, and come with two very nice long new style beam blades. Fit in there also perfectly, and those beams are fantastic. And the Impulse being the Impulse, there's only one thing left to do. Rip him apart. I mean, transform. Transform. Now, one cool thing about the Impulse is, once we remove the core fighter here, we get two pegs, and the universal ones will also connect them to some of the extra backpack. So that's once again a cool feature they thought of. Then fold all of these forwards. I know the Impulse Gundam is a pretty simple transformation, but also the reason why this thing is slightly more expensive. There we go, that's already essentially how this goes. Just have the arms tucked in a bit like that. And once again, this is one of those transformations you could almost do yourself, though I definitely do not recommend cutting yourself in two. And that goes on there. And then with the shield on there, once you of course have it swapped out for the smaller one, but you know, more protection never hurt a mobile suit, and this is already pretty much done. Then we also get this piece right here that connects there, and then this other side will connect to an action base. The legs are even more simpler. Once we get this out of the way, it's actually also kind of similar to the way the Zeta Gundam transforms. Bend the legs the way they're not supposed to, and then fold the front skirts in such a way that they simulate aerodynamics, and that's already that. And then even for this thing, we get an extra connector for an action base. This right here pretty much just lengthens the grasp of the action base. Simply ram that up there, and then it just has an easier time connecting to the action base. Then this right here, simply fold it up. And now the cool thing is, when you look at the Silhouette Flyer, it doesn't look like it actually has a connector for the Silhouette pack, but these sides here are actually what connects to, there we go, to the backpack, and that is pretty nifty. I mean, very hidden. That is really cool. And then finally, we get a normal core fighter as well. Very white. And now, instead of having just one Impulse, we have 4 of them. Also, is it just me, or does it look like the top half doesn't have any kind of thrusters going on whatsoever? I mean, it doesn't look like this thing should be able to fly, you know, other than aerodynamics. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Absolutely, and also kinda no. Now for starters, the absolutely should be clear. Just look at it. It looks badass, great articulation, and comes with pretty much all the accessories it should come with. Minus the daggers, but you know, that's just a small detail. And in short, it completely obliterates the old high grade. and that for only a few hundred yen more. There is no more reason to buy the old Impulse Gundam. So, if you want yourself a Force Impulse Gundam in 1/144 scale, or you just want to save a bit of money instead of buying the Master Grade, this thing is your best bet for the Impulse Gundam. It's fantastic. However, that awesomeness does cost a price. And that is the reason why it's not a complete and full absolutely, and why the no is there. Because at 1,800 yen for a pretty standard sized model kit, there are better deals out there, such as the Ailstrike Gundam. A very similar machine, even down to the use of striker packs or silhouette packs in the case of the Impulse. And you know, similar accessories, similar articulation. The big difference is just that the Force Impulse has the transformation and it comes with 2 white ships. And that is all that 500 yen extra for the Impulse is going to get you. Meaning that, for example, the Ailstrike Gundam here is a much better deal than the Impulse Gundam. So if you're not a huge fan of the Impulse Gundam, there are definitely better deals out there other than this kit. So for size comparisons, first of all, here is once again next to the old Impulse Gundam and the new Ailstrike Gundam. And I know what you're all thinking. Since they are so significantly different in height, which one of the two is actually the right height? The old one or the newer one? And well, according to the manual, the Force Impulse Gundam's total height, quote unquote, is 18.41 meters. And now the old Impulse Gundam is head height without the V-fin 12.5 centimeters, which would equate to 18 meters flat. And then we have the new Impulse Gundam at 13 centimeters head height without the V-fin, which would put him around 18.72 meters. Meaning that none of them seem to be completely right in terms of height. And also depending on how they measure total height with or without the V-fin. But, you know, that's the way it is for heights on these guys. Then here is next to his 2 best friends in the whole world, the Freedom Gundam and the Gaia Gundam. And I have to say, the Gaia Gundam now really looks like it could use a revive as well. And finally, here is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And it definitely looks like the Gym Custom over here confirms that the newer Impulse is the more height accurate one out there, because they are about the same head height, both of them. So yeah, that means that there's only one final question left. The Sword Impulse. Is it going to be a P-Bandai exclusive like the Blast Impulse, which by the way finally is getting a decent model kit, one that isn't a 1/44 scale no grade? Or is the Sword Impulse Gundam going to be a regular release like the Force Impulse, as the Sword Impulses have always been? So, that's all for this review, and see you guys next time!